Uh, uh.
Welcome back to Sideline Sessions. This episode, we have a new head coach from the Mountain View Mavericks, Coach Tim Price, joining us. We're very excited to have him. An amazing person, which I know you'll see throughout the episode. Do us a favor, like, share, hit that little bell button so you get an alert when we have a new episode, and then hit us up in the comments and let us know if there are some other guests you'd like to have on. We're really excited to keep doing this, and thanks for watching. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Coach Tim Price, thanks for being on
Sure.
Sideline Sessions, episode 12.
About time.
I know, I apologize. I've been trying to spread these out a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I've been watching them all.
Oh, good.
It's cool to see like my colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting. Like, while there's a lot of times on the field, I mean, there's clearly differences between coaches, and there
Yeah,
should be, you
right.
know. Otherwise the game wouldn't grow and it
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be exciting, etc. But it's as all these guys talk about why they're doing it and how like it's funny how we all sort of end up in the same place,
Yeah,
like just loving the game and
loving the
wanting
game.
to share it.
Share it and make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, of course, why else would you really be doing it?
Well, it's not for the money.
No.
So let me give you a little introduction here because you're not new to the area, but maybe you're new to um, high school varsity lacrosse here
In Boise,
in
yeah.
Boise.
Hmm.
And so before you became the head coach of Mountain View Mavericks, which our family is
Hmm.
alum of, and excited for hopefully like a bringing back some of that old grit. I think it'll definitely happen. But before that, you grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
which is closer to Wilmington and Philly.
Yeah, it's like kind of situated right in
Mhm.
between.
Sure.
So, when I tell people I'm from Philly,
Sure.
I have to clarify for people who are like from Philly proper
Right. They're
though,
like, what
because
do you
they're
mean?
like, where,
Yeah.
like what part of Philly?
What
South
part?
Philly? I'm like Westchester's like, come on, buddy. But yeah, I tell people that, and yeah, I grew up in Westchester
Yeah.
and actually moved to Colorado when I was in high school.
Yeah. I saw that.
That's a big part of my story too.
Split that high school career, basically, right?
Yeah, and I realize now how much of an opportunity that was for me.
Hmm.
At the time, I was pretty upset,
I bet.
that my mom was moving
Standard
me.
issue for a kid moving in the middle of high
Yeah.
school, right?
And Westchester, that area of Philly
Hmm.
has a pretty strong lacrosse tradition.
Yep.
It goes back quite a ways. Um, my One of my best friends in middle school, late elementary, middle school, his father was the head coach at Villanova.
Okay.
So that's how I got into lacrosse.
Okay.
Um, and
Which is
so,
dead center in Philly for the most
yes,
part.
dead
Yeah.
center in Philly. They lived near me
Hmm.
in Chester Springs.
Okay.
But so I when I lived in
Hmm.
Westchester, for me, um, and when I look back, I don't know if it's, I mean, it was big,
Hmm.
but lacrosse still had a long ways to go everywhere.
Sure.
Maybe outside of Baltimore and like Long Island, everywhere lacrosse had a long way to go
Okay.
as far as really drawing athletes and the college game had to grow a lot too.
Yeah.
We're still working on that, trying to add
Hmm.
programs across the country. It's still a long way to go. But for me, I was like right in the middle of it right away because of Coach Marks
Okay.
and my buddy Dave. And so like we would I was definitely thrown right into it. I got to go to all the camps that Randy would coach at.
Which is awesome.
Which is really cool, like
Yeah.
Delaware and Hopkins and Princeton and
Hmm.
all these camps. And I didn't really know that I was getting such instruction,
Yeah. It was
especially
normal
as a
life.
beginner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and so when I moved to Colorado, I thought I was leaving that all behind. I didn't really know what I was getting into. But
What year? So junior year
I was
officially?
the end of my freshman year,
Okay.
I moved.
All right. So
Yeah,
things were just getting rolling for you.
they were just getting rolling, and I was having some success because of the Marks family in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
I mean, Dave was out there shooting. I mean, it was mandatory in his family to shoot an hour a day,
Yeah,
and I didn't have that kind of discipline.
sure.
But I would go over
But
there.
there's a little bit of stuff that rubs off, right? Like you're just
Yeah,
around it,
yeah.
like throwing the football around or whatever,
Yeah,
anywhere else.
and at the time too, we were, and you see kids in across Boise doing this, which is awesome.
Hmm.
We carried our sticks around and
Yeah.
played on the playground and that type of thing, and in the church parking lot, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of it too. Is just kind of like playing around. But I got to do some significant lacrosse early on, and I didn't realize coming to Colorado kind of how
Hmm.
that would give me such a leg up. And Colorado was also on the upward trend then too. There
Yeah.
were a few programs there that even at the time in the early 90s were sending kids to Division One,
Yeah.
Kent Denver and East and
Hmm.
Colorado Academy. And so I got to like step right in with those guys as a sophomore, you
So,
know. Um, And then I still came back east to go to camps in the summer. That was the only way really to get recruited, but I did it
yeah.
because I loved it.
Let me ask you, what took you to Colorado? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, my mom worked for nonprofits, and she would, sometimes nonprofits struggle, financially,
Sure. Hmm.
trying to make things work, and so she was more or less a consultant.
Okay.
So she got a job out in Colorado with this giant church,
Okay.
and it paid well, and so she told me when I was visiting my family in Arizona that I was moving, and I was just curious
I bet.
for a lot of reasons. But I thought I was giving up lacrosse.
Okay.
I thought I was going to have to go back to baseball,
Oh man, no one wants to do
right?
that.
And I have a big base. I come from a pretty significant baseball fan. We love the Phillies. Like
Okay.
my brothers and cousins and I still haven't talked about the Phillies losing this fall. Like we
Oh,
won't talk about it
yeah.
until spring training. So a pretty serious baseball family, but it's interesting. As was moving towards lacrosse, I was still playing baseball.
Hmm.
And my very first lacrosse camp was in Westchester. It was at this facility that when I think back at it, I think it was probably like a wilderness camp kind of facility because we were all
Oh,
staying. It was an overnighter,
okay.
and we were staying in cabins. And just this giant, there's a lot of forest and
Hmm.
not as much nowadays, but
Sure.
these cabins along the forest edge, and then just this field in the middle.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in very good shape with a couple of club schools. And I was
Sounds
brand new
awesome.
to the game
Yeah.
at that point, and I
Okay.
showed up with the Marks family, and I mean, there were kids there from Radnor and Conestoga and Haverford School and Malvern Prep. I mean, like,
All right.
kids with a lot more experience than me even at the time. And I remember I had to leave camp, and I was the worst there. But
Okay.
I think I was picking up pretty quick, and I got a lot of shit from all those guys, when I
Sure.
was there. Like, you should go back to baseball, whatever.
Right.
The worst part is that I had a Little League championship game
Okay.
during that camp. And my parents were like, "You're committed to that team. You have to go do it." So I had to leave lacrosse camp,
I understand it.
and I went to finish this Little League championship game.
Okay.
We won,
Yeah.
and I came back to camp, and that took a full night to live down, that I had gone off and played baseball. Like, what are you doing? But that was the last baseball game I ever played.
Okay.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it.
You
I
know,
was hooked.
what's funny about this camp? There was a piece of property, an old farm orchard thing that's on outside of Marcine here,
Yeah.
and I was like, this. It's on the Snake River.
Yeah.
They already had a bunkhouse. I was like, this would be awesome to do like a 2 week lacrosse camp where kids fly in or whatever and just hang out, and
No one
that's
does
all they
it.
do.
No one does it
Yeah.
anymore. There's a few hockey camps in Minnesota
Hmm.
that like offer multiple experience. You go play
Hmm.
hockey, but then you spend time on the lake. And,
Sure.
going to overnight camps was what I looked forward to every summer. And ultimately, I realized it was the way I was going to get recruited.
Oh,
There
interesting.
were a few camps you kind of had to go to.
Okay.
205, the Blue Chip 150 camp. There was a
Yeah.
Western 150.
Okay.
And then there were all the camps that the colleges ran
Of
themselves.
course.
And I was lucky to be able to go to
Hmm.
those, partially because I was connected already.
Yeah.
But once I moved to Colorado, I stood out even more.
Yeah.
And so being a Colorado kid and showing up at top 205 turned heads, maybe more so than if I was just another Philly kid.
Yeah.
They're like,
Hmm.
who are, I
Yeah.
often went with my best friend Dave Long, my high school best friend, who was the coach of the Raptors. We went and played the Raptors.
That's right. I met
Yeah.
him. Yeah. That's right.
And we would go to these camps and so yeah, it was interesting. But back to that first camp, my father, of course, like parents do, kept a lot of the memorabilia,
Yeah.
from when I was growing up, like flyers and things like that. And he gave me a couple of those books recently, and there's a flyer from that camp, just like a black and white brochure that
Okay.
I think my dad picked up at
Right.
probably sports, the local sports place, and I looked at the list of coaches. There was Coach Marks, Bill Tierney was there. I mean, there were probably 80 kids at this camp. Bill Tierney was there. Tony Seaman,
Mhm.
Johns Hopkins was there. Roy Simmons Jr. from
It's
Syracuse.
the Hall of Fame roster nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave Cottle from Maryland. Yeah, he was at Maryland then. And that's who I was learning from.
Yeah. It's impressive to hear those names, but what's even more impressive is how much those guys put into the game,
Hmm.
right? That's showing up to those camps, putting that time in.
Yeah, I can imagine they weren't making a whole lot of money either.
No.
Randy had another job. He had a full-time job in
Okay.
addition to being the coach of Villanova.
Yeah.
He had an office there that he was there
Mhm.
every day from like 3 o'clock to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And he worked as well. I think towards later in his career, he was able to make it his full-time job, but he had to make it work in order to coach.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think, it's kind of that way in a lot of sports, and it
Sure.
should be.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
should have to work extra hard to give
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And
It's a great responsibility,
it is.
privilege at the same time.
It is. I learned a lot from
Hmm.
Randy and from those guys. I've had a chance to, be in touch with Coach Tierney just a little bit,
Hmm.
through DU.
Yep.
Um, and they're just amazing guys. Different breed,
Okay.
different brand of coach.
Yeah.
That's for sure. If you see Tierney on the sideline, I don't
Little,
even know,
little, little. They call it old school now.
old school. Yeah. I mean, the veins that would come out of Tierney just
Sure.
back into his head. Um, I adopted a little bit of that early in my coaching career. I just didn't know any better. I mean, I had this thing where I could literally throw my hat on the
Hmm.
ground so hard it would bounce up and I'd catch it and put it back on my head. It's so angry. I've learned a little bit how to obviously
I
with the
think
years.
I think that's of a certain age. My temper can be a thing too, And then it's like, come on, Brandon, you know better than that,
Yeah.
right? You learn how to deal with it different ways.
It's
People do.
passion.
Yeah.
And as a coach, I come across a lot of players like that.
Mhm.
And you just have to, as an adult now, I have to direct myself. But when you
Right.
have kids,
Yeah.
players who have that kind of like raw passion,
Hmm.
that's just the challenge
Yeah.
to get them to direct it and to channel it
Hmm.
in a
Let's let's talk about that a
productive
little more,
ways.
because I try to tie this into uh, how sports will set you up for success later,
Yeah.
and dealing with people is a thing that will never go away.
Yeah.
And maybe even for the new coaches, younger coaches, which
Hmm.
we have a lot of right now, players as well. You're going to, for the rest of your life, you're going to run into somebody that's a gatekeeper or just an ass that's always a no guy,
Yeah.
unless it's their idea or whatever, right? What's a way for a young player, and that could be a captain on the team, right? And everybody's like, why is this guy a captain?
Invited me. Yeah.
Just
But
riding,
it's
and
like
he's just like
not.
such an ass.
Yeah.
And like, I'm working my butt off here, and I think he's telling coach things or he's not.
Hmm.
Same office politics that happen
Yeah.
later in life.
Well, I mean,
Words of wisdom on that.
one of the little mantras that I often say in huddles when I see kids starting to lose themselves,
Hmm.
maybe to a ref.
Sure.
or to another team or to themselves
Yeah.
or to each other, just lose themselves in the emotion
Hmm.
in a way and focus on their game and what they're doing and where their feet are. Is I often tell them, I ask them the simple question is, why are you renting space to that guy in your head
Yeah.
for free?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you're allowing that to happen.
Hmm.
You've let that in. And of course, then the question is, okay, once a kid acknowledges that they're allowing something to influence them
Yeah.
to the point where they cannot perform themselves or even think,
Hmm.
maybe, it's what do you do next? And I've taken some kids through breathing exercises. I'll take some every once in a while, I'll take the whole team when I see them kind of losing it, call a timeout. Everyone take one big deep breath.
Sure.
All right,
Yeah.
where are we?
Hmm.
We're here. We're together. This is what we're doing. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
Power of a timeout is great.
yeah. I also feel like kids need to know um, multiple things. They need to know their assets
Hmm.
first and foremost. This is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
This is where I thrive, skill wise, X and O wise, but also in their leadership style. This is what I'm good at. And they can't be good at everything, but this is what I am good at.
Sure.
And then therefore also conversely, these are my liabilities. And trying to steer them back to their assets and overcoming liabilities. So bring them back
Yeah.
to that, you know. And sometimes it's just about asking a good question. I had a goalie not too long ago who was one of those goalies who
Hmm.
is a head case.
Yeah.
And I just flat out asked him, I was like, where did you learn to be the head case goalie? Because you're not in any other part of your life, I can tell. Where
Yeah.
did you learn that? And he explained that it's just like the identity
Oh,
that he had adopted.
okay.
And I just
It's who he
asked him,
thought. That's who he thought he had to be in
yeah, I was
in
just
the
like, why?
cage. Yeah.
Why? Who told you that? You
Yeah.
don't have to be that. So, and that's something that maybe only an older high school player could like has
Yeah.
you know, the brain, the neurological connections
Sure.
to connect and to actually reflect on. But sometimes just asking good questions, and that's where the power of the personal relationship
Yeah.
with a player matters a lot.
It does.
And it's not always going to be me too. I like,
Hmm.
I always try to make sure I have assistant coaches that can do things that I cannot do.
Yeah.
Speak to the kids in ways that
Sure.
I cannot speak to them.
Yeah. Because there's this. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and at different times, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, 5 minutes ago you could have been the guy.
Hmm.
Now you're not. We need someone else to come in
Yep.
and check on this
Yeah.
guy.
It's just constantly changing. Um, and also helping kids just to be able to move on.
Yeah. Just let go.
Yeah. We teach the culture, and it's a big part, it's important.
Mhm.
The idea of persistence, right? Determination to overcome, to fight through it.
Sure.
Sometimes the best thing to do is just to be like, "Oh, I just gotta let that go.
Yeah.
That's not a fight worth fighting anymore." Like
Yeah.
with an official.
Yeah. You don't have to die on every hill, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And knowing themselves and knowing them so you can remind kids of
Hmm.
what's really important to them
Yeah.
because they've already shared it with you. So yeah, it's and I was a teacher for 20 years.
Right.
So
Let's get into that. Let's finish out your little history.
yeah,
So, because I think it's fun.
yeah.
Guys that know where you come from,
I've got
background.
history.
You got history, man. That's okay. So you moved to Colorado.
Hmm.
You're at Arapahoe High. Is that
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I haven't heard that word forever. It's just a Native American
It is.
first nation that you just don't hear much about
It's
anymore.
funny, Arapahoe, we're still the Warriors. And Arapahoe has, there was a point last year, I think, where they were ranked top 20 in the country, that program. There's 4 or 5 teams there. They're part of the Colorado contingent that's just barreling ahead. Um, but
So high school career, you show up, got no friends,
yeah, I got no friends.
starting over,
Lacrosse was
pissed at mom.
pissed at mom. Lacrosse got me back, got my feet back on the ground.
Okay.
And I clearly was walking into a situation where lacrosse was not as evolved as it was where I
Hmm.
came from. Not a sanctioned sport yet,
Yeah.
still a club there, but rapidly, rapidly growing. I mean, when I arrived at Arapahoe High School, there was a freshman team, a JV team, and a varsity team.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty significant program. Um, and it was a way for me to make friends,
Hmm.
and I was able to jump right in,
Yeah. Well, with that crazy foundation in comparison,
yeah, and I
not
had to
too
do it
bad.
with humility too,
Right. You can't be the new guy coming in,
not
thinks he knows everything.
no,
Right.
no, I had to, and I was humbled. I mean, I
Hmm.
was humbled at times. As a sophomore, I was, on the varsity team, which maybe maturity wise I wasn't quite ready for, but skill wise I was.
Okay.
I remember during against Kent Denver, who's been a powerhouse in Colorado for a long time, not as much anymore. It's a private school, but um, there was a goalie they had. His name was Ian Wolf, and he went to
Awesome.
Middlebury, and he was
Okay.
a three-time All-American in high school. I think three or four time in Division three in college. Um, I remember I got the ball. It was a regular season game.
Hmm.
We were tied, I believe. I got the ball right in front of the goal,
Okay.
like
Posting up right in
right
front
in
of.
front. And I remember I faked him one way, faked him the other way.
Uh-huh.
And then when I went to shoot, he reached out with his stick
Hmm.
and popped my stick and took the ball out of my stick and cleared it down the field.
Thank you very much.
So there was still a lot of,
Nice try. Come again.
yeah, yeah. So thankfully there was a hearty high level of lacrosse brewing in the
Yeah.
area. And it was cool to be a part of that and part of the growth.
Hmm.
And then when I got into coaching, I was still part of that
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So,
was able to watch it sort of
mhm.
evolve.
So you go from high school,
Mhm.
all American there.
I was not an
No, all
All-American.
American.
No,
Okay.
no,
All conference or something.
All-state. Yeah, I
All
was an
state thing.
all-state player. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, and then you magically ended up at this little known school called Denver University.
Yeah, and it was kind of magic
Yeah.
in some ways. I wasn't going to go to Denver. It was
Okay.
not my plan. I was
Okay.
going to go back east.
All right.
My mom decided she was going to move back east again.
Okay.
My father was very intent on me coming back east. I did a lot of recruiting trips back east.
Okay.
You know,
Tell me about recruiting back then.
well, like I said, a lot of it came out of camps. You could walk out of a camp with an offer.
Okay. And this is back when there was no age restrictions of sorts, right?
I mean, at a camp, a camp's a camp. Like you
Right.
show up and you're a high schooler,
Yeah.
plain and simple. Like you
Okay.
played with the seniors,
Okay.
right?
So sophomores could be getting an invite to Maryland.
Exactly.
Okay.
And well, I don't know exactly what the recruiting was. I remember the NCAA clearinghouse came to be when I was in high school, so things
Okay.
changed quite a bit. I remember having to jump through those hoops like a lot of players do
Yeah.
now. Um, but uh, but it was simpler in a lot of ways, the recruitment circuit.
Hmm.
A lot of ways you had to go get it yourself too. Like if it was a D3 school, those schools, even to this day, they don't have a lot of them giant recruitment budgets where they can travel all around the country.
Yeah.
So, I learned how to advocate for myself.
Which is something that hasn't gone away. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
These young players need to be their own
Yeah.
advocates.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even have email,
Mhm.
right? At
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So, that came in college. So like
Sure.
I had to make calls.
Hmm.
Um, I had to ask for letters and send them. I had to make VHS tapes and put them
I
in
was
the
wondering
mail in
if
a
it,
package.
yeah.
Um, and get on the radar. And once you're on the radar,
Hmm.
then things can often happen. I applied to 16 schools. Was recruited, I think 14 of them, but not all just out of the blue. I mean, some of these schools I sought out. Like I sought out North Carolina.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a Tar Heel in a lot of ways. Just mystique of it.
Sure, of course.
And once I was able to get in touch with Coach Klarman, and then he showed interest. Um, he told me I would be a red shirt for a year or two, and
Okay.
then I realized I wanted to go play.
Yeah.
So, certain schools I decided not to pursue anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but
That's
I was going to
yeah.
go back east. I signed a letter of intent
Okay.
to play at a little school, D3, Franklin and Marshall, which, they'll move in and out of the top 10 in D3
Yeah.
every 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
Um, and I also visited some other schools, Washington College, which won D3, which
Yep.
would have been my senior year. And that was my largest scholarship, I remember. And my father was really pushing me to go to one of these schools. And he also wanted me nearby again, I think. My parents were divorced. And so
Okay.
my father still lives in Westchester. And
I bet
um,
it's different.
yeah,
Everybody drives everywhere back there, man, and it's like 2 hours.
it is. And
And
you don't have to take one highway to get one place.
right.
It's not so noisy. But um, and anyhow, I remember then my mom told me that she was going to move back east again, and I had already gotten a taste of the West.
Hmm. It gets
I
in
was
you.
snowboarding.
Sure.
It got in my blood, and I did have other opportunities to stay west. I got recruited at the Air Force Academy, and there was a big part of me that thought about doing that
Hmm.
until I visited, and then I was like, "What is this place? Like, where are the girls?" Like, I remember asking the guy I was staying with, like, "Where are the girls?" He's like, "They're like 4 miles away. You won't get to know them till
Yeah.
your junior year." I was like, "Oh my Lord." Um, So it was like Air Force Academy,
Hmm.
Colorado College, or DU, and I drove down to DU, made an appointment with the head coach who left that year, and they were D2 at the time.
Okay.
They were Division two, pretty good D2 team,
Yeah.
uh, ranked D2 team. But I drove down there with my own check for the registrar. Walked into his office, said, "Is the offer still standing?" He said, "Of course." And I went over to the registrar, gave them a personal check, went home, told my mom, called my dad, and said, "I'm not coming back east. I'm staying out west." And I ended up at Denver. And I had no idea that Denver was going to make the move to Division One,
Okay.
which happened while I was there.
Sure.
I probably wouldn't have gone.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
saw some of my friends back east.
Hmm.
One of my buddies went to Maryland and ended up transferring to Denver, and just because he wanted a little bit more of a laid back, but
Some time off.
yeah, yeah, and in Division two and Division three in particular, you have to take the time off. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
weight training, and
Hmm.
there's captain's practices, and there's
Sure.
workouts and things, but it wasn't a 6 a.m. practice, 3 p.m. practice, study hall.
Yeah. Right. Just
Um,
everything.
and so that was a
Hmm.
big adjustment. Um, but it was cool. It was cool to be part of that transition there too.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
yeah. It's that balance matters.
yeah.
And I think some players get lucky, and others are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, this is way more than I thought it would be."
You see
You know.
players, and I think it's fair when a player burns out somewhere,
Hmm.
and burnout's probably a cool way to say it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think some players just they go somewhere, they think it's going to be what they think it's going to be,
Hmm.
and then they get there, and they realize maybe the sports team and the sports program was maybe a good fit.
Right.
The town was not.
Yeah.
The area of the country was not.
Hmm.
You know, I knew, for example, I would not do well at a school in New York or Long Island. I did not get along with those guys,
Yeah.
you know?
They can be intense.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be, and then, I think back like, gosh, if I would have gone like to upstate New York, it is so cold there. It's absurdly cold
Yeah.
and wet. It's like
Hmm.
this every day. Um, I don't know if kids all realize that all the time when they go somewhere, you
But
know?
I think it's okay. Go
And then
find
they're
out.
and then they're like, "Oh, it just didn't work." And that's fair.
Yeah. Fit matters.
And the cool part
Yeah.
about lacrosse today is that there's so many opportunities to play
Hmm.
in the secondary level or after high school.
Yeah.
because club lacrosse has grown so exponentially
Hmm.
and gotten good. There's something for everyone.
Yes, there is at all levels.
Yeah, and you get to go if you want to, you can go do it. Um, you have to just know why and
Yeah,
what you want out of it,
yeah,
because you're going to get what you put into it anyway,
yeah. Couldn't agree
regardless.
more. And that 1, 2, 3 isn't necessarily an overall ranking of quality.
No, there's
And it
D3 schools that
absolutely, there's
there
D2 schools that smoke
D2
D1s
schools, and
and
there's
all
club
over.
programs that obviously
Abs-
they'll probably be a varsity program at some point,
yeah,
but they maybe never.
right.
And that's okay
Mhm.
because the club circuit. I got to coach some club right after college.
Okay.
I went to graduate school at Denver,
Yeah.
and so then I started coaching the Denver club team,
Okay.
which was cool. That was
Yeah.
a really cool
Where you
experience.
got your PhD.
That's where I got my
And no
master's and my
knucklehead
PhD.
here, no matter what. No
No,
matter
I
how
mean,
hard you try, you've done pretty well
the
in school.
PhD is just like it's just hoops, man. You just jump through so many hoops for so long
Well, that's the
and
whole
paid.
college experience.
And Denver has so much of my money,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean, you didn't get a full ride and all this and that.
I had
Okay.
a half ride in
Okay.
in
Just so
college.
everybody knows, it's incredibly rare.
It's hard to get. And another story that I'll maybe share some other time, but I
Okay.
lost it. I
Oh,
lost my
interesting.
ride there.
Okay.
Yep.
Great
I
side.
made some mistakes.
Okay.
Uh, and
Those are great
lost it.
stories. I think young people don't understand that, yeah, it happens
Yeah.
and you can fix it when you're ready to fix it.
And I did.
Yeah.
I was able to do that with a lot of humility.
Hmm.
I had to walk back on my senior year. I had to earns,
Okay.
um, which the coach at the time thankfully gave me that opportunity. I walked away my junior year because of a conflict with the coach.
Okay.
And some of the other captains and I were talking about like how we were going to deal with it. And we were young and
Hmm.
egotistic,
Sure.
and thought the way to deal with it was either to fight it or just walk away.
Right.
Neither would have been helpful, by the way. And I did a total Jerry Maguire moment. It was after a game. We
Okay.
played a Division 3 team. We only beat them by a few goals.
Okay.
It was like they came out to play PC and we ended up playing them and probably just didn't take it seriously. And the coach was losing it on us and blaming it on a few of us in particular, the captains. And um, at least that's how I remember it.
Okay.
I don't know if that's exactly what was
Well,
happening.
in
And
the end, the leaders
yeah,
at all levels
and we got pushed.
reflect the efforts and
And I
other
got
people looking
pushed.
up. Yeah, sure.
And he said, if you don't like what's happening here and you want to have fun, you can just turn in your
Right.
captain
There you
jersey right
go.
now. And I thought I was being like this big man. I stood up and took my jersey off and handed it to him and walked out.
Okay.
And I thought the door closed behind me
Hmm.
to the locker room. I thought for sure
All
the
your
whole
buddies.
team was
Yeah.
gonna walk out, and they didn't. Man, they didn't.
I'm not surprised.
They didn't.
Yeah.
And I ended up realizing I betrayed them.
Interesting.
And my good friend,
Hmm.
the one who transferred from Maryland, it's gonna make me tear up. He's alive and well today, but he got cancer that year.
Okay.
Remember,
Yes.
there was some stomach things that he was complaining, and he ended
Mhm.
up getting diagnosed with cancer, and so he couldn't finish his season. And he was so angry at me for walking out
Right. So he was
because
watching you.
together we were
Hmm.
like going to get through this,
Hmm.
and I let something get to me in my pride. And I remember I went and saw him in the hospital before he went in for surgery, which could have gone one way or the other.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I apologized to him and I promised him I would make it right. And I walked into the coach's office. I couldn't do it till after the season. I missed third of the season.
Okay.
I was having a great season too, like really, really good season on a personal level. I walked back in his office and I explained to him, with humility,
Hmm.
what was that I had made a mistake
Yeah.
and that I promised Matt that I would get back to the team. And he couldn't come back. He couldn't come back. His surgery is such where he couldn't
Okay.
play again.
Yeah.
Um, and I realized that it was a privilege for me to play. And so it became a pure privilege for me to play at that point. They took my scholarship, they gave it to this kid, Mike Law, who ended up on Team USA and playing for
Hmm.
the Outlaws,
Sure.
first multiple All-American at Denver. So it
Yeah.
worked out for the program.
Yeah.
But I'm sharing that now because I share that with kids
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
It
It was a humbling moment in my life that it's hard to balance certain degree of regret, but also understanding that like those are the experiences I've had in the game,
Mhm.
and the game is so forgiving that was able to come back to it.
Yeah.
The game wants people to play. Game wants to. I mean,
Mhm.
it's the medicine game,
Yeah. It
and
wants to share.
it wants to share, and I need to share it, and I need to
Mhm.
be unselfish with it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um, if I want it to give back to me,
Yeah.
and
It's funny how you put that energy out there.
yeah, so a lot shifted for me in that at that time with my relationship with the game and my
Okay.
relationship with myself.
So you come back that senior
Come back
season.
my senior
What
season,
this new attitude.
new attitude. I was having a great season.
Hmm.
You know, I was surrounded.
What was different for you that senior season? I mean,
I had a
you have
level of
this moment.
humility that I had to bring to it. I also had a level of humility too because at the time that we had made the move to Division 1, and I was surrounded
Yeah.
by young, very talented players,
Mhm.
and so I had to be a leader in a lot of ways. Um, they called me Grandpa.
Of course.
They called me Grandpa, and I didn't was I able to finish that season on the field because of injury.
Okay.
Um, and
Did you find more fun in the game that year?
yeah, oh, I was playing so loose. It was
Mhm.
amazing. I had 6 points against Hopkins. I was just like loose,
Yeah.
you know. And though, but the cool part is I was a senior, and I had all these like Law and some of these other kids that were just like incredible athletes. You know, they were
Mhm.
Division 1 athletes, and I didn't have to work that hard actually for those goals against Hopkins and some other teams because Notre Dame, they did the work. Like
Right. It set you up.
they set me up, and that's how I still play today. I have to though, 'cause I'm old.
But having the brains to put yourself in the right position
It's a
it
big part.
is a thing, right? That's a significant thing. That you got to move your damn feet and you
You
got to
have to
help
be,
your team.
you have to be-
Got to be an option, right? Like,
wow, you have to constantly, offensively and defensively, but I'm thinking offensively right now.
mhm,
You have to constantly evaluate where am I in relationship to my teammates, in relationship to the other team,
right?
in relationship to the goal,
Yeah,
right?
that whole
Y-
triangle of success right there.
Yeah, exactly. And not all positions demand exactly that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Attack certainly does.
Sure.
Um, and then I learned how important it was, how important deception was.
Hmm. We talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, which I learned a
Yeah.
lot of that from the box game. I learned
Yep.
a lot of that from playing kind of a box hybrid style at Denver.
Hmm.
Um, how important deception was, and you have to think ahead constantly,
Yeah.
and be pretty purposeful. It's a combination of being really purposeful with everything you do in your movements, and also just responding.
Yeah. It's a fluid game.
Yeah, which is where my coaching style has very much evolved.
Okay.
I mean, I came out of Denver with my first head coach opportunity in Colorado. Um, Head coach of, you know, big program, varsity JV and freshman team.
Hmm.
Um, and my playbook was this,
That it
and
was.
I gave it to I'm like, memorize
Yeah.
that.
Everything. We need to know everything.
And I had some success in that
Hmm.
framework, in that, but I certainly have learned over the years that there's nothing I can come up with on paper, particularly now with the internet, that somebody else hasn't already thought of.
Sure.
or that
Yeah,
could.
there's no top secret
There's
plays.
no top secret, and that the fun part of the game. I almost coach kids to play like they would have to play. They're playing a high level adult club game. Like
Okay.
if they were in the Vale or a Lake Placid elite
Mhm.
championship playing with guys, who maybe were in the PLL or in the
Yeah.
PLL, who are all high level players. Nobody knows. There's no coach on the sideline saying, this is the set you're in, these are your plays. They're playing fluid with each other,
Hmm.
moving off of each other,
Yeah.
using space,
Yep.
taking away space, gaining space.
Hmm. So,
Sometimes
so how do you get players that aren't used, don't have that IQ yet, into knowing those things, right?
odd man, unsettled play.
Okay.
That's the way I do it.
All right.
Constant odd man, unsettled play. I try not to start any. I do very little 6-on-6 in a practice. And when we do it with a very specific goal, and that's to slow down the game.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we're playing a fast game. I mean, think about it in a game. I ask kids all the time, like, how many minutes of a typical high school game
Mhm.
are you in a settled, truly settled 6-on-6?
Yeah. Very few.
They're like 6, 7 minutes. Yep.
Yeah.
And how often does that settled 6-on-6 become unsettled? The second someone drops them.
Right.
The second slide comes through, and I mean, the second there's a turnover, it's all of a sudden unsettled. And really, the game's about creating odd man matchups.
Yeah.
You know, and the goal of defense is to double.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of defense.
Yeah.
Doubling the ball, creating an odd man in your favor,
Hmm.
right? And the goal of defense is to concede and take away space. The goal of offense is to exploit and
Yeah.
create space.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. It's funny how they're just, for the most part, they're not true opposites, but I think it's both players on each side of the ball. Once they understand what the other person is trying to do,
Mhm.
that's where you can see this dance that's taking place.
I love that dance, and that's what I say. It is a dance. It's like this kind of give and take,
Hmm.
you know. And I love it. I love it. I mean, I was just playing in Hawaii, the championship game. I walk out, look next to me. It's this guy that I've played against in probably 10 championships at club level over
Uh-huh.
many years.
Okay.
And I played with him on Team Pepsi in Colorado, which was also Team Colorado, like kind of both.
Hmm.
And he looked at me and I looked at him, and it was so interesting because, like, I remembered his style of play. We remembered how, and obviously at our age, we're not playing it the exact same way that we
Sure.
used to be. But that dance immediately started.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And there was also this amazing camaraderie that we were able to, reflect on, almost distracting us from the game. You know, what was even cooler is I was wearing my son's number, and my
Nice.
son's number 30.
Hmm.
That was his lacrosse number. I was wearing it. I look over and this guy's wearing his hockey number 27.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we battled as best as two 50-year-olds can battle during a game.
Sure.
But not, and it was just this fun, like I was constantly behind him, kind of getting a little jealous
Right.
in the back. And it was just so cool. And that's what I want. Really, if I think about why I coach, I want kids to have that experience that I had. I
Hmm.
want kids to play lacrosse for the rest of their lives. You can't do it in football.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can
It's
barely do it
limited.
in baseball unless you want to play softball. You
Hmm.
can't do it in most sports. Lacrosse, you can do it, and you can play pretty high level. I mean, even as a 40-year-old, I've played in games. I mean, after I graduated, I played against the Gates. I played, I
Hmm.
mean, there was no MLL, PLL then, so it
Yeah.
was pure club. The Vail Lacrosse Shootout Championship game was basically the best players in the world every year. You know,
Yeah.
I played against Team Toyota. I played, and to this day, I get to play with and against some legends
Hmm.
who still play a pretty darn good brand of lacrosse.
I would imagine it's one of those things where you get some fundamentals and you get those. maybe you get a little rustier, but there's
You get
just
slower, you
and
get
slower,
rustier,
right?
your brain's way ahead of your body.
But once again, that foundation of knowledge is there, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you learn to adjust. Like,
There's a beauty to the game and a flow to the game. Just watch and any indigenous team play the game. It's just pure flow.
yeah,
It's hard to get into that mode. And there's a certain skill set that you need to. That's, back to your
hmm
question a little bit ago. I've realized that you also have to allow players and even teach them the mechanics of some pretty advanced skills,
hmm
depending on their position.
hmm
We should be, honestly, we should be teaching the kids a proper swim dodge,
yeah,
like mechanics of it, when to do it, when not to do it. You don't run up
the
to a guy and
why
say, I'm going to
behind
do
it.
a swim dodge,
Yeah, the why behind it.
right?
The why behind a dodge.
Yeah. Well, the why behind a dodge is simple.
hmm
It's to gain space or take space,
Yeah.
right? And as an attackman, no one ever taught me how to roll. I learned how to roll dodge, whether it be an inside roll or whatever it is,
hmm
through pressure.
Yeah.
And it was this, again, the dance, like, am I going to make contact first or are they? If they make contact first, are they giving me
hmm
pressure on the top side?
Yeah.
Now I roll.
Yeah.
I don't
It's funny
do,
because like in football, they teach that. They
yeah,
give you they they slow it down to where each one of those moves are you do it baby steps, right? Let's get in here. Let's get the feel.
yeah, mechanics are
And then the
important.
mechanics, and then okay, then we're going to speed it up. We're going to
Mechanics
speed
are
it up.
important. There are a little, now YouTube has, I mean, and Instagram and
Sure.
and flag things and all that on Instagram. I
hmm
learned so much
Yeah.
stuff I already know, but somebody else is explaining it in a way
Right.
that is. I
It just
love
clicks
Jules
differently.
Henenberg, his
Okay.
videos from out of his company or institute in New Jersey. He teaches the dodges through a series of chop and jab steps.
Right.
That's it.
hmm
He never, and he's like, if you can master that in a sense, in a way that it's muscle memory,
Right.
everything else will come into
Yeah.
place.
Uh, like anything, you can't be thinking about what you're doing and be able to evaluate what you're trying to get to because of what you're doing. There's
Yes,
a certain amount of it just has to be that
it's
muscle memory basic.
it's kind of like in everything else in life,
hmm
like you only have control over a certain degree of what's happening at the
Right.
time, and you can only dictate so much.
hmm
Um, but that's part of the game too, helping kids to understand what they're good at.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, and I take a lot of pride in this, sharing with a player like, hey, listen, like I have no idea why you're dodging from X straight up. You don't have the body
Right.
type. You're not, you're not quick enough east to west. So let's start practicing dodging from a high wing.
Yeah.
That way you can see more of the field, right? You don't
Mhm.
have to rely on an east west, right? You can dodge your man more straight up,
Yeah.
right? Um, and you can also use your body a little bit more,
Yeah.
coming into the goal
Mhm.
rather than trying to free your hands from your defense. So
Yeah.
every player has a skill set that, as a coach, I need to recognize
Yep.
that they have, and I need to tell them it.
And it's okay for those players. You know what I mean? That's what the other thing they got to understand is that it's not a personal attack on how you play.
Mm.
We're trying to use your skills that you naturally have and to develop into something else.
Yeah, I mean, I flat out told like you're not Michael Sowers, so stop.
Right. Yeah.
There's only, I mean, look at the highest level in say PLL. Only 5, 6 attackmen in the league who can straight up dodge
hmm
from goal from the end line
Yeah.
from X and beat their man. They can maybe dodge and draw a slide to move it, and that's primarily why you dodge anyway.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Sowers would pride himself, I'm sure, on his assists
But dude, it's points,
more
right?
so than his goals.
And I think any teammate, any good teammate, they would love to have 6, 8 assists.
Well, that became my role once early on in
hmm
my college career, and then later I kind of switched roles because I was a little slower and people a little faster, and so it was fun. to have to play multiple roles depending on who I was surrounded by.
Yeah.
And I had to do it. Kids also have to understand too that there's a role for them on the team, and it's not do everything.
Yeah. You don't have to be the hero.
No, like gosh, if I could go back, I tell, I think about this sometimes. If I could go back and redo it, I would have been a goalie.
Okay. Tell me.
100%
Tell me
would have
more
been a
about
goalie.
this goalie.
I just feel like I would have
It's
had.
one of the
I have the right mentality for it.
okay. Do you
Um,
think you had the right mentality then?
I think if I had the right coach,
Okay.
I could have been a decent goalie. Now goalies are all bigger now, and so
Hmm.
it's everything's different now. But um, I feel like it would have been cool to have a role on the team which was really clear and defined.
Okay.
Like I kind of am a little jealous of kids today that they can become like face-off specialists and defensive
Yeah.
specialists.
Sure.
I don't necessarily agree with all of
Hmm.
how that's happened because ultimately, if they're going to be a lacrosse player for life, like who cares if you're face-off specialist, right? But um, you're going to want to play, you're going to want to play all over the field. But I think there's a value to kids also being in a situation or playing a level of the game or a version of the game where
Hmm.
they can ultimately discover a role
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I agree. I mean, you're going
master
to
the
need that
role. Yeah,
and
in life.
in life,
Yeah,
and you're going to need something that people can rely on.
yeah,
And that,
and to take
and I don't
pride
know what
in.
the difference is. And I mean, as far as I don't know why the ego changes when it becomes like a career or something you're good at
Yeah,
work or good with people. You have high emotional intelligence, and that's a skill
that's your
set.
thing. Yeah,
It doesn't have to always be hard skills, those soft skills as they call them
yeah,
now,
character. Yeah,
as much as probably more so later. No one, when you go to get a job on the resume, it's never going to ask you what was your assist record,
no,
for conference or whatever. They're
no.
going to want to know, okay, what did you learn while you
What?
played, or
Yeah,
right,
tell us about what you brought
right,
to the team dynamic,
right,
what you learned from it.
hmm,
Tell us what you weren't very good at and how you worked through
right,
that.
and you can use those sports experience. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to be the attackman, and uh, you know what? I ended up being D mid
Yep.
because that's where my opportunity was, and that's where I was the best fit for the team.
Yep.
And that's it. Like recognizing that, oh, there's 5 other attackmen that are squared away, ready to go. And if you
There
want
was
to
also
play, go where you can play.
I remember going, I don't think you can get away with this nowadays. You certainly couldn't at the high school level, but I remember I'd walk in the coach's office and on the board, uh, it was a depth chart
Sure.
that changed all the time,
Yeah, why wouldn't
right? And if you had a bad practice or your attitude wasn't good, you may, as an attackman, I mean, we were really concerned about the depth chart because
it?
it was like if you weren't in that top, it's not like you were going
Hmm.
to play, period,
Yeah.
that next game. Like it
Oh,
gave you clear feedback on like what was going to happen in 2 days.
okay.
And you could go in, and this is, I think, one way that he got us to come in and talk to him. You could go in and you could watch yourself move.
Hmm.
I think he did it like in the middle of the night, right? Like just decided where you were going to be, and you could go in and get that feedback right away, like or ask.
Yeah.
If you had bad practice or just a bad attitude, you
Hmm.
might go from 3 to 6 on the depth chart
Yeah.
for attack, and that was interesting. And there was a lot of learning in that too,
Yeah.
because either I had to guess what was going on
Hmm.
that why I was moved from 3 to 6, or I had to ask.
Yeah. Which is it's a cool experience that you had to do at a certain age, right? Like,
Yeah,
coach, tell me why I moved down. Like,
yeah,
you have to learn to have a hard conversation
yeah,
and then be able to take that feedback.
yeah. Like you're just not having a good week, or you know, um, another interesting story. I like sharing stories, but all these things
Hmm.
inform my coaching big time.
Okay.
My senior year, like I said, remember I said I got hurt. I got
Yep.
hurt twice. After one of our trips back east, we came back to Denver, and Villanova was coming out to play us. And Randy Marks, that was his last year coaching.
Okay. Awesome.
I had been hurt.
Okay.
Not I've been hurt, not injured, but hurt, where I was
I love the difference,
rehabbing.
by the way.
Yeah, I was
Kids need to understand
rehabbing
the difference.
and not practicing,
Okay.
but I was rehabbing and I was really looking forward to getting cleared for that game.
Yeah.
And I knew I could get close. And I worked really hard to get cleared for that game. I got cleared. I didn't start. I was a starter at the time. I didn't start.
Mhm.
Kind of, and this kid from Princeton, New Jersey started ahead of me. But he had also been working for 10 days,
Yeah.
his butt off,
Right. His opportunity.
his opportunity. Um, and then at halftime, still wasn't in. And I remember I threw a little bit of a tantrum. It's like, yo, coach, what's going on? Why
Hmm.
am I not playing? And he didn't have time to give me, we were in the
Right.
middle of the game. And he didn't realize how important it was for me to play in that game because I didn't communicate with him.
Yeah.
This was my opportunity to play against Randy, the guy who mentored me when I was young.
Yeah.
I got to play against his son who went to Hopkins just a few weeks prior. And I was so looking forward to playing against Randy. And and because I complained, I didn't get in the whole game
Okay.
against the team that I was just itching to play against. And I was angry. I was angry at the coach. And you talk about a hard conversation that had to happen
Hmm.
after, where I had to share with him, hey, it was so important to me to get in. You could have gotten me in for 10 minutes and I would have been grateful because but he's like, I didn't know that.
Right.
You didn't communicate with me. And then I like to think he learns a little something too
Absolutely. I'm sure he did.
because, and then of course for him, he's like, Tim, I did not play you the first five because something you did or something that's wrong. It was because you were hurt,
Right. We didn't need you,
and
probably.
this other kid
Yeah.
put effort
Yeah.
in and deserved that. In
Yeah.
fact, there were a few things that he's like a few wrinkles we put in the offense that he knew that you didn't because you were riding the bike in
Hmm.
the training room. So I didn't know that, which I wish I would have known too. So I
Hmm.
like to a lesson that I pulled from a lot of lessons I pull from coaching are from having good and bad coaches, or all coaches are coaches,
Yeah.
and they have good and bad moments.
But they're
And not all
people.
coaches
They're
fit
people, right?
players.
That's why we're doing this, because there's
Yeah,
people here behind these.
not all players fit a coach, and not all,
Mhm.
sometimes there's just a mismatch
Yeah.
too, and that's okay,
Mhm.
you know. But
And
I
yeah.
learned a lot about coaching
Yeah.
there too. Like I need to know players' motivations, and I need to communicate with them why they are not. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not personal. It's like you're not playing. And gosh, I know it's hard for parents to hear this. I was a parent of an athlete too, and it's
Hmm.
hard. It's hard as a
Yeah.
parent. Once you're a parent, I get it now. Like it's just harder
Sure.
to take messages from coaches.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, listen, yeah, you may have missed a whole week of practice for something that was very legitimate.
Hmm.
Maybe you were doing something with your family that was really important, going to a graduation.
Yeah.
But but while you were gone,
Hmm.
so and so stepped in and they get to play.
Yeah. And
That's a hard one.
that's a hard one for a parent. I think it's hard for coaches to stay true to that. And
Yeah.
I had this a similar conversation. Like, hey, you're with a coach we had on before. It's new head coach and younger, and I go, hey man, you're going to run into this situation
Yeah.
where kid leaves or whatever, and you got to play that next guy,
Hmm.
or that star player is just like bad. He's a cancer right now, and you have to make an example, or not even an example. Do what's best for the team,
Yeah.
and it might be benching that guy,
Oh, it's so hard.
right? And
It's so hard because it also your heart breaks for that individual player because you know
yeah,
that that kid is just a kid.
right. But there's 40 other
There's
kids
40 other
that
kids.
are
It's so
trying
hard.
to believe in you
Yeah.
and look at you for like, okay, is coach going to do what he said he would do?
Consistency.
And consistency.
Yeah.
And like that kid can't that kid is not meeting the standards, whether
Yeah.
it's playing or attitude or everything else, right?
A big question behind
Yeah.
that for me as a coach sometimes is a hard question for me, a humble question I have to ask myself. is did I even communicate the standard though?
Sure.
Sometimes I all coaches
Hmm.
who are passionate about the game, maybe in I call it the blind spot. A lot of young coaches have a lot of blind spots.
Yep.
They don't realize that that kid did not have the same experience they had and does not know what they know.
Sure.
And so we have to be really careful we don't just assume
Yeah.
kids know what we are asking for or what we expect.
Hmm.
We have to communicate it. And there's a generational difference in that too,
Yeah.
right? Because there
Hmm.
are so many different ways of going about things now. Um,
And I think for here, it's tough because it's not sanctioned. It's not part of the school.
oh, it's hard to keep a standard.
It's hard to keep a standard. It's not a coach's office. Like that
No, there
stuff isn't on the wall, right?
it
There's
is
no locker room where you can see
that is a
what
huge
the
difference.
expectations are.
That is a huge
Yeah.
difference. My first coaching job at Giant Mountain High School, I was also my first teaching job.
Okay.
I was an English teacher and a head coach, and huge advantage
Hmm.
in being able to do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. You
know,
could pop in and see whoever any
Ex-
time of the day.
any time of the day, I could keep tab
Hmm.
on their grades. I didn't have a choice but to keep tab on their grades because it was policy. Um, and that's primary role of a student athlete
Hmm.
is to be a student athlete,
Yeah.
right? And it's hard to help kids walk that line as a club as a coach in a club kind of atmosphere.
Hmm.
Um, but it still can be done.
Still can be done. And
Still,
that's the program's standards and expectations
yes,
that are set. You know,
yeah,
we're doing great checks.
yeah,
We're holding
yeah.
people accountable.
Or being in a situation where your relationship with the parents, maybe hopefully, and this is hard in some circumstances, but your relationship with school and the kids themselves, where at the very least, if there's no standard grade check, you know what's going on in the classroom
Yeah.
because that's being communicated. You can leverage it.
Hmm.
I mean, with my own son, I relied on some of his coaches
Yeah.
big time
Well,
to
at
do
times
things that
they'll
I
talk.
couldn't
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. It's a different way to communicate when
Bodie's
that communication shuts
Bodie's
down.
hockey coach, Frank Salvoni. If Frank sat him down, he's from Boston, big dude, amazing guy. If he sat Bodie down, I was like, listen, man, like he's gonna get to he was able to get to Bodie in a way that as a father I never
Yeah.
couldn't.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's setting a standard is difficult. And also living by that standard is difficult too.
Yeah.
You have to.
Let's talk about some standards
Sure.
because we're rolling into new coach,
Yeah.
uh, Mountain View
Mhm.
historic program for us.
Yep.
One of those programs that uh, I remember sitting there in the stands with my son before, maybe seventh grade or something, maybe even younger, sixth grade. Mountain View in the championship
And you're
game.
like, I want to play there.
That's what. Yes,
Exactly.
that's Carter's like
That's my goal.
I want to play like these guys and with these
That's my goal
types of
right there.
players. Yeah.
That right there. And the reason why I'm aware of Mountain View's history, and the
Hmm.
reason being is alumni.
Sure.
Carter, Colin, a lot of others.
Hmm.
I made sure right away that I asked a lot of questions of those
Yeah.
guys. What was it like for you to play at Mountain View?
Yeah.
I've asked other players, what was it like to play against Mountain View? First thing I did is help put on an alumni game
Yeah. I
a
went there. It
week
was
and a
great.
half after
Yeah.
I was hired, or 2 weeks, or whatever it
Hmm.
was, pretty soon thereafter.
And it was
And then we
great.
did,
Great
and
turnout.
we did a clinic.
Hmm.
Great turns,
Yeah.
even better next year. I mean, 30
Hmm.
plus guys. Um, and then we did a clinic beforehand, and it wasn't huge, not a whole lot of kids. I expected it to
Sure.
be that way. I mean, I'm new, the whole thing's new. And it was all alumni that I had
Yeah.
working that clinic. I think there were 9 of them,
Yeah. Maybe so.
maybe
Hmm.
9 of them, and only like 12 kids.
Yeah.
And one thing that we did at every huddle is I asked each of that alumni, like, tell me about your best memory as a Maverick. What does being a Maverick
Hmm.
lacrosse player mean to you? What is the number one thing that you've taken
Yeah.
with you as a Maverick lacrosse player? And I see that as being one of my biggest responsibilities right now.
Okay. Was there one or two things that you're willing to share?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing that came out, one thing that came out unilaterally was the feeling of being a family
Mhm.
and knowing that even if you're not best friends with the guy next to you, you can rely on them.
Okay.
Some players, some alumni shared stories about how like they know they could call anybody standing there, even though they weren't best friends,
Sure. They'd show up.
and they show up. That was one thing. And I really hope kids heard that. And I really want that for them.
Mhm.
Really want that for them. Number two is nobody wanted to play Mountain View, whether they knew they were going to win or not,
Yeah.
whether they had the talent to win or not. Nobody wanted to play Mountain View because they knew they were in for it.
Yeah.
Um, they know they were in for a fight. They know that they were in for a gritty game.
Mhm.
They knew that they were in for some surprises. Um, and they weren't in for it in a way that like it wasn't necessarily fear,
Mhm.
because kids
Sure.
fear is an interesting thing with kids, but they just knew when they were playing Mountain View, they had to like think about it for a second. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what
They
does
had
that
to get their
mean?
mind right.
Yeah, they had to get their mind right because they knew what they were dealing with a team that was um, going to have each other's backs and not give up on the ground ball.
Mhm.
And no matter what the score, whether they were winning, losing, or in
We're
between,
playing
we're gonna
four
we're
quarters.
gonna play full quarters. One of the big one of the, and it, one of the other things that came up when I asked her what was your favorite memory, there were quite a few kids. I call them kids. I call them all kids.
Sure. Yeah.
Carter and others who shared specifically about their trip to Jackson
Oh yeah.
and winning in full overtime, something along those lines, or winning at the last minute.
Yeah.
And it was a hard fought game. They didn't expect it.
Mhm.
They talked about the bus ride, the bus breaking down. They talked about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that so those rose to the top.
Yeah.
Um, I also noticed that there's something about a Mountain View player, a lot of those alum that I'm thinking about right now, including Carter, that they're they know who they are as lacrosse players.
Okay.
They know who they are. They know what they're good at. They're confident, like
Hmm.
confident yet at the same time humble enough to know that there's still a lot to learn.
Right.
So they're very coachable.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were all coachable in high school. I don't know.
It's
But in my Bighorns
yeah,
experience, quite a few of those guys are coachable
sure.
because they just want it so bad.
I think they want to get better.
Yes.
And I think that's where you find that confidence in their abilities, let's say, or confidence in who they are and what they know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I'm here to get better. I'm here to compete as high as I can.
Yeah.
Feed me.
Yes. And then,
And, they
when,
have standards too.
yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping their standards are higher than mine sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
they got to hold me accountable too, if I'm not pushing them hard enough.
Mhm.
I mean, there have been times where I've let kids off on some conditioning and I've
Yeah.
had them say, why not?
Right. And you're like, okay, let's
And
go.
okay, let's go. But
Yeah.
also conditioning, I nowadays, like, I tell kids straight up, this is part of setting expectations. Like, if we have a hard practice and we do not stop and you go take your water and you come back and you're ready to go, and I do a good job planning practice,
Hmm.
there is no reason why I feel like I'd have to
Right.
get you on the line to run 10 times at the end because I know you're conditioned
Hmm.
because you went
Right.
hard.
Yes.
So I kind of put it on them too. Like, if you don't go hard, yeah, it's time for me to blow the whistle. And like,
Hmm.
at the very least, what you're going to get out of this is you're going to get some lung capacity out of this because you're clearly not prepared to get out of it. What else do I want you to get out of
Yeah.
it? So,
Practice. Uh, and I've talked about this for some reason. With historically football background, and then transition to lacrosse, like everybody
mhm,
out here for the most
mhm,
part. Or the other where it's like, we've tried all these other things. We think lacrosse might be less dangerous,
yeah,
right?
that's what
And
I'm
there's
saying.
two houses there,
Yeah,
and but practices should be hard.
yeah,
And practices, in my opinion, coaching a few years, we're working on technique and IQ. We don't. There's not enough time in the day
not enough time in the day.
to, to get better on the
All the skill
things
sets
that you're
up
weak at.
there. Yeah,
And that's something that, so when you get, I don't even know what practice is nowadays, 2.5 hours with these young men,
Hmm.
and they can't pass or catch. That's not going to get fixed in
I don't,
practice.
if I'm doing it well and they're doing what they need to do, I don't need 2.5 hours.
But
Um,
if they're still struggling there, that's work that needs to be done,
they need to be out on the field after I leave
right, or before.
or before. And gosh, that is so rewarding when you see kids doing that.
Hmm.
And I was talking to on a club trip. I was talking to Gannon,
Hmm.
and I was really curious. I'm like, where? How did you take that neck? Like personally, he's like, I after practice, I was just out there,
Yeah,
and I was out there with three buddies, and I had to do that. I didn't have a choice. I could not get
yeah.
my skill set, and I still, he'd be the first to admit he had so much more to learn after that.
Hmm.
Obviously, the level he played, and he ate it up, but uh, he had to put that extra time in. Had to, and
Right.
he is cool that he understood
Yeah.
that.
And I think even going, so when parents are like, why isn't my kid playing? And it's like, he's a great kid. He shows up. He does everything
Mhm.
he's supposed to. He's at practice on time, hasn't missed practice. There's still this gap, right? Like that
Yeah,
they need to put in, like there's not enough
and there could be a
to
safety
develop.
issue too.
Could be a safety
If
issue.
a kid
Right.
is still looking at their stick
Hmm.
when
Whether or
they
not they
catch and
caught it.
pass
Yeah.
it,
See if it's
and
there.
they're playing at the varsity level in particular, or they're playing with
Hmm.
they're freshmen, they're playing with juniors, or just
Right.
men
Hmm.
compared. It's dangerous.
Right.
Dangerous to not play with your head up.
Right.
It's dangerous to not be able to see the field and to play confidently with the
Hmm.
ball. And so I've cited that quite a few times with players. Like this isn't the right situation for you to be playing right
Right.
now. This isn't. Um,
And this is what you need to do.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right.
And if you're unsure, you need to ask questions. And there's probably another kid on the team who could give you just as much more reps than I could give you.
Yeah.
So you need to ask them.
Yeah.
And we also need to put it on the leaders of the team
Hmm.
to bring up those because there's going to be newer players. I mean, in Mountain View this year, we're going to have a pretty small team
Yeah.
program
What are you
altogether.
thinking? Or is this top secret?
I'm
Everybody's a big
thinking I
gamer.
have no idea. It's like some learning. So like I would say somewhere between 25 and 30.
Okay.
Um, Not enough to split into a JV and a varsity
Hmm.
because then you water down things to the point where then kids are overworked and getting hurt.
Yep.
And we have so many younger players that showed me this fall that they can compete and that they're going to have to
Yeah.
with the varsity team. There's no way I would make them double dip because they'd have to.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a very large varsity team,
Hmm.
but I feel like we've set up a schedule where
It doesn't seem unreasonable though.
this
Yeah.
bench,
Hmm.
this part of the bench during this game is going to be really active. And maybe during that next game, this first part of the bench is going to move to this part of the bench.
Yeah.
And their singular job at that point is to support this part of the bench.
Sure.
And I'm really hoping that it's a it's honestly it's a better challenge than if I was coming into 70 kids, 50 of which have never played. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, so I think we're gonna have a mix of newer players. We had some kids in the fall who were great athletes who were picking up lacrosse,
Yeah.
and I can already see a role developing for each of these kids. It's going to be really, hopefully, clear to them,
Hmm.
and that playing time will therefore be clear. But it's hard. It's a
Yeah.
really hard thing to um, part of, you have to schedule carefully. You have to set expectations up. You also have to tell those guys like, hey, if someone gets hurt, it's like we're kind of relying on you to be prepared
Yeah.
to step in.
Hmm.
So I'm really hoping that you're prepared
Yeah.
because
And
I think the kids will be the first to admit that they don't want to come out in the field and get absolutely throttled.
no, no one does.
No one does. They don't want to be
They
scared.
don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah, they want to be successful, and so
Hmm.
um, so it's it's uh it's a fun line to walk, and I think I'm going to have a good situation. in
Good.
that regard. I mean, this fall we had some success this fall, like, with
Mhm.
our team.
Yeah.
We had
And
some
and just
injuries.
as a friendly reminder, no one, anybody that knows what they're doing doesn't care what the fall ball scores are, right?
I know.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying. I'm
Yeah.
echoing it for maybe if there's some folks out there that don't
Yeah, well,
understand.
yeah. Fall
It,
ball was, I
it's a
mean,
developmental
I pro
time of the year.
yeah,
Try to get some
and it was
film.
like selfishly, it was my opportunity to get to
Yeah.
know some kids,
Right.
and for them to get to know
Yeah.
me.
I just don't think a lot of
And
maybe parents understand what fall
oh,
really, you know what I mean? Like it's complete off
it's
season.
fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully competitive
Hmm.
in
Yeah.
its own right.
Sure.
Um, but and gosh, if I have low numbers because there's kids playing other sports, that makes my heart happy.
Cool. Yeah. Stay in shape, learning other things.
Oh, having multi-sport athletes
Right.
is, a lot of it's big. It's a big part of the coaching conversation now is specialization versus multi-sport.
Yeah.
I think there's, it's dependent on the kid and their situation, but as a coach, I multi-sport athlete, like never gonna complain about
No.
it,
And just like when you um, were looking at those videos and you're like, oh, I like the way that guy says that. The other coach,
hmm
how he breaks that down. Same for players. Like they need to hear how to maybe shift their hips
different
a
ways.
different way so it sinks in, right? Or like, what does good feet look like, right?
Yeah.
Or those things. And maybe for some whatever reason, it's not clicking
Oh, basketball
in whatever sport,
players
So,
can pick up lacrosse so quickly,
mhm.
IQ wise.
Yeah.
Or at least the style that I like to play.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, hockey players can come into lacrosse in a very unique way. Football players can come,
Yeah.
yes, it's all translatable,
Yeah.
especially at that age, developmentally, right around 12 to 14, right? Kids are starting to develop physically to the point where they can start to mechanically make some of these
Yeah.
movements, make it happen,
Yeah.
right? And then, so that should be a big focus for them to get their bodies moving in a way
Hmm.
and then it's our job as coaches to figure out ways to build the skills around that and then to
Hmm.
translate it into the system or
Yeah.
whatever. you
Okay.
know.
Um, let's talk about your staff you got going. Mavericks.
Yeah, there's still some
Are you looking for a couple guys? Or
I'm always
okay.
looking for a couple guys. I think in some ways the more the merrier, but I'm also pretty I mean, I know everyone's picky, but I'm pretty picky in the sense that like I'm pretty serious about guys wanting to come and coach for reasons that are clear to me and clear to them
Hmm.
and who want to learn
Yeah.
more about coaching,
Sure.
like I am all
Hmm.
the time, who don't think they like
I already
they
know
have
it
to
all.
know they don't know it all.
Right.
Like that's really important to me. And right now, one
Mhm.
of the things is I really want to get some alumni involved.
Okay.
I think the Mavericks alumni is the key, one of the keys to the success of the organization going forward, is getting alumni involved.
Okay. I
Um,
agree with you. I think there's something to be said of one or two guys every year.
Speaking of alumni,
Oh,
sent
you
out,
want a camera? Okay.
yeah,
There you go.
speaking of alumni, I sent that one.
This one right
I
here.
sent an email to a bunch of them using the list that I got for the alumni game with the Give Butter campaign. I expect you to give something to the
Okay.
program financially. And then from there, I'm going to be asking you to give more in other ways.
Perfect.
The alumni paid to play that in that alumni game. They
Yeah.
were more than happy to. I thought that was such a small thing. It was like,
Mhm.
why? But I mean, I think alumni are key to the organization, and I want alumni on coaching staff.
Yeah. I think
Right?
it's great.
Yeah,
I agree.
I want to learn from them about what it means to be a Maverick.
Hmm.
I think there's something about the younger players seeing guys maybe that they watched when they were young,
Yeah.
and now learning from them. I think there's a lot involved. So I have some alumni involved. I just lost a great coach to moving on to go play at College of Idaho.
Oh,
Colin,
I've never heard of
oh
this kid. Yeah.
yeah, oh, breaks my heart. I'm so happy for Colin.
Yeah.
So happy for Colin that he gets to be valued as a player because
Hmm.
he's a special player.
Yep.
The way he goes about things, he's got to stop hurting himself. Every time Colin gets hurt, I ask him what happened, and the message all the time is it's like he hurts himself. Nobody ever hurts him. He's too tough for somebody else to hurt him. But
He's the only one powerful. No.
only one powerful enough to get himself injured. But anyhow, I'm really happy for him, but it was a
Yeah.
huge loss in the sense that Colin bought that that Maverick
Mhm.
history and grit, and
And
he's a
expectation.
an expectation. He's a creative player, and that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for anybody who believes in Mountain View, and if they're not sure what Mountain View is, I
Hmm.
can share my
I'm sure you can
experience or
get
put them
somebody
in
on,
touch with
yeah,
someone
speakerphone real quick.
exactly, and who's willing to learn about coaching and continue to push
Mhm.
their own knowledge of coaching, uh, and who are creative.
Okay.
I I plan to bring a brand of lacrosse to Mountain View, which may be also old and new for them. That is creative,
Yeah.
that is messy.
Okay. There's
That
something to be said, beauty in chaos.
yes,
So,
that's where my box
yeah.
and my
Huh?
field experience um, mesh.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was getting a box experience in college, but I did, and then I got to play a little bit after college, and
Hmm.
man, did I learn a lot! Holy moly! Played with some
Yeah.
native guys on my team. Thank God they were on my team. Some
Hmm.
indigenous guys. Um, the first time I got my ribs broken twice. I mean, yeah, but I
Let me ask you this fun question real
yeah.
quick. Have you ever, were you ever, maybe in the early days? I know you probably do this now, but coming up, high school, college, where you caught yourself on the field, maybe being a fan of somebody, you're like, wow, this is amazing to watch this guy
While on the field with them.
while on the field with them,
Yeah,
where you just instantly were like, I can't believe I'm standing here watching this.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I have had the experience even as an adult player to play with
Right.
some players
I'm sure,
that
yeah, as
are
an adult, probably
Hall
for
of
sure.
Fame players,
Hmm.
etc. I'm always I'm more conscious. I try to be more conscious of who's around me than
Right.
where than who I am,
Hmm.
because I know I'm going to only be successful on the field if I know
Yeah.
who I'm surrounded by.
So do you remember the first time this happened?
Let me think. I mean, it happened a bunch of times when I was young. I didn't even realize. I remember I played, at that first camp. I believe
Hmm.
one of the guys that was in my, I think, and if I'm wrong, and his wife's probably not watching, maybe he will.
I hope it
But
does.
this guy, Greg Trainer, he was, there's a trainer out there right now that's a really good player, and I
Hmm.
think they must be related. But he ended up being an MLL legend and
Okay.
two-time college All-American. And I remember I was at that camp with him and just watching him do his thing
Yeah.
out there. It was like, oh man, who is that guy? And it turned, I'm pretty sure he was there. My buddy
Okay.
Dave Marks, and then his
You were
two younger
you
brothers.
were a fan of the
It was
Marx Brothers.
Randy. Randy is, he was
Hmm.
my buddy, and Randy Marks is his
Yeah.
father. Dave could do things with the stick out in front of the goal that just wanted I wanted to be able to do. Because I thought it was just how you played. Because I would
Hmm.
go over to his house and shoot with him
Yeah.
and play, and he would do these things with his stick, fakes and around the backspin, over the shoulders, and all this stuff that he just practiced. And I thought that's just how you played, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I wanted so bad to be, and I realized at one point I was never going to be him because he was like a typical prototypical like 6'3", long arms,
Hmm.
lanky, you know,
Yeah,
and
just
it wasn't,
different.
it wasn't,
Yeah,
never would be. Um,
but different though. I'm
yeah,
sure you were able to maneuver and slip and do things that
that he
a
couldn't
guy that's
do.
6'3", right? Like
Um,
it's just once we like we talked about before,
one thing
taking
now,
advantage of the things that you can do well.
I still do this. There are coaches I see
Hmm.
that I get to coach against and coach with that I want to be like in a lot of ways, that
Sure.
I learn things from,
Yeah.
even if I'm very different from them,
Yeah. Absolutely. Why
you
wouldn't you
know?
want to be? Like grow
Yeah,
and learn and take something
yeah.
away.
Like I learned something from Colin every day we were out there. I had a new way to explain something to kids or a way to
Hmm.
interact with them or a different way to, and I hope he learned something from me.
I'm sure he
You
has. I
know, I
know he has.
shared something I kind of picked up online and then I kind of looked at it and played around with it a little
Hmm.
bit. It was just this little thing about how to, s- how to change a crow hop on a room in time and not necessarily crow hop, but step
Okay.
your back foot behind.
Hmm.
And that automatically gets your hips turned
Kind of
before
opens them
you
up.
even turn. But it would take a lot to retrain your brain to do that
Hmm.
because everyone typically crow hops, right?
Hmm.
And then you have to turn your hips even more in order to get that power. And so we started drilling that, and Colin started drilling it too. And he's like, I never realized, so I think there's this cool, uh, that's the kind of
Hmm.
experience I want as a head coach with my assistant coaches. And I hope they can get
Yeah.
vice
I think
versa.
that there's fun in learning
Yeah.
and humility. And I joke personally at work. I'm like, hey, if I'm the smartest guy in the room, we need to get more people.
Oh, better people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to get more people here because
I don't
I
want to
I
be,
don't want to be the like this. It's okay to not know everything, and I'm
no.
okay with that because I want to learn too. I'll bring in
And
smart
I know
people.
my weaknesses. Like I have a guy and that's coaching with me that is very good at running the box and really good with personnel.
Hmm.
And I tell him ahead of, we practiced it a little bit in the fall to some
Yeah,
degree, but I tell him what I want out of the game. This, if there are players that I want in certain positions,
yeah.
not literal positions, but places on the field at certain times, I let him know. But then I trust him to run the box. And if there's a and then I step away.
Hmm.
And then if there's a problem
Well,
with it from my point of view,
sure, change it up, bud.
that's when I step in,
Hmm.
Otherwise I kind of I he does something really well
Hmm.
that I also prefer not to do. I'd rather be watching the game
Yeah,
and figuring out, the big
that
picture.
I don't know what is there an official name for the box guy?
I would say, you say something mean. Um,
But there's a like a person that
there's
can
a certain
run,
type of person.
and that if they can run a box well,
Oh,
so
it's
many
so hard.
advantages that come because of it.
So hard.
Yeah.
You got to have a loud voice. You have
Hmm.
to, um,
You just have to
there's
lock,
just certain
you just lock
way,
in
and
differently.
I've had to run the box
Hmm.
before, and I was assistant coach. I mean, I've been an assistant coach in
Yeah.
many different scenarios too, and which was a great experience for me
Hmm.
because I got to get a sense for coaching,
Yeah.
a different sense for coaching. Um, and I really enjoy being an assistant too, because then you get to, in some ways, kind of do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I have a funny memory of Carter. He was coaching at Timberline last year,
yeah,
JV defense.
yeah,
He was running the box against Boise. And he's letting them go. And this young player comes and he's going to go out in the field. And he just grabs a hold of him
yep,
and he's like yelling and coaching. And then he pulls him back, puts him in the other hand. And then he's still coaching because he sees this
yeah,
transition coming. And he's like,
and
no,
then
no,
it
no.
just
Yeah.
goes,
Well, and then he goes, and now the ball's coming, and then he pushes it out with this way.
yeah.
You know?
That's yeah, that's
It was
brilliant.
so fun to see,
That
right?
is
Like, yeah,
brilliant, and you know, kids would only be lucky to have a coach that has that kind of
yeah.
uh, sense for the game,
Hmm.
right? Of course, Carter has
So,
the literal physical ability to take a
yeah,
kid and like
this,
move him.
no,
I
we're
do
right.
not. I
Yeah.
I move him other ways, but yeah. So I do
So the
feel like
box guy is an important position, I guess, is what I'm saying on the end
huge,
for a
yes.
team to, especially here where,
And if you have too many guys running the box, ooh, it's so
oh yeah,
bad.
no. But
Yeah.
championships can be made in these details, like
Yes.
running the box for
Yeah.
sure, especially. not only here, but a significant game changer here, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the sub game is tricky.
Hmm.
Getting guys out in situations where you know they're going to be successful is
Yeah.
tricky.
Hmm.
Um, I think sometimes too, if you run a box well, kids start to figure out the flow of the
Yeah.
box
Right.
and how subs happen, and they start to step up and step in,
Mhm. Get ready.
and they're ready,
Hmm.
and they, you know, uh,
Those teams where they're calling ahead, like they're
yeah,
keeping their teammates locked in. Like, come on, guys, we're gonna
exactly,
get here,
yeah,
get here. We got to get this up.
yeah, and I think there's a lot they learn through that part of the game too. I mean, it's one of the steepest learning curves for a new player, just figuring
Right.
out how to handle a game,
Yeah.
flow of it, and uh, and the flow of the game is often it's dictated by the game. I mean,
Hmm.
a game could flow really smoothly, or maybe you have some officials that are calling the game really tight, and it's
Hmm.
not running as smoothly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys in the box, and there's a lot of, oh man, trying to figure that out sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have the right people who are really
Hmm.
into it, who really love doing it.
Yeah.
I'm, I'm not, I'm not, I'm a big picture guy, and
Sure.
I've always said that, right? So like running a box when I've had to do it is really hard for me, but a good
Hmm.
challenge. But I'm glad that I want to make sure I have guys on staff that love it, can do it
Hmm.
in ways that I can
Value it, right? Like
and value
it's
it.
like if that's your coaching opportunity to be there at
Yeah.
varsity and
Yep.
gain more knowledge and hear those games,
But I
you
do have a
better.
couple
Yeah.
guys that I'm pretty sure adding to the
Hmm.
staff that I'm very excited about
Okay.
that will bring, like I said, in particular, that creativity,
Nice.
uh, who will be able to pull a kid aside in particular
Hmm.
and be like, listen, this is what I noticed about your game.
Yeah.
Let's try this, and mm, be able to share with them in a way that I cannot, that's unique to them, that's in their skill set
Hmm.
in particular. And I just think also we'll have the ability to get the message across
Yeah.
in ways
Hmm.
that I can't.
Right.
As a head coach, we can only get so many of the messages across.
Yeah.
We're
Hmm.
almost sometimes limited by our role in
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
So,
So I want to touch on your other job here in
yeah,
a
we've been
second.
here for a while, haven't we?
Well,
Whew,
whatever. But
I
I
get,
mean, we're having fun.
yeah.
It's New Year. Anything on Mountain View before we wrap it up? Anything else?
I would just say that I feel very grateful and blessed that this opportunity came my way. Um, I've had so many wonderful opportunities
Hmm.
in moving to Boise
Yeah.
related to lacrosse. I mean, Sun Valley, I created a lot of opportunities and had a lot of opportunities, but it's a smaller community. But I'm so grateful. And to be able to land somewhere
Hmm.
like Mountain View, it feels like it's just a great fit for me. I'm very thankful for that. And I thank the game. I thank my son for bringing it to me.
Hmm.
I thank the community for bringing it to me. Um, I should also note too that uh, I'll give him a shout out. I'm very thankful to Logan Ball for when I told him I was moving here
Yeah.
and said I need to get plugged in for a lot of reasons. Like,
Sure.
lacrosse is very important to me,
Hmm.
and he plugged me in,
That's great.
right?
Hmm.
Immediately plugged me in. And when it was ready for me to go to move on, he was more than willing to of
Yeah.
course he supported that. But Mountain View, I'm like incredibly grateful that I've landed there. Not to
Nice.
say that other programs like don't enjoy kids there. It's
Hmm.
just that it just feels to me to be the right fit. Um, I have gotten to know because of it some wonderful people already that I'm really excited to know.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a cool
That's awesome, man.
place. It's a cool place.
I like how you've taken ownership already.
Yeah. And I know that I'm going to learn a lot.